think this is a good sort of strategy for the Republic? I think it's a genius strategy. I think
to
if,
outlaw things
if,
like
well,
this.
Well, if you issue a law, like basically what Ali Bestaki said and what lots of other, classical liberals and conservatives have been saying is that if you ban it, that's Republicans taking the offensive. And then the only response that can happen on the left then is to defend, okay, here's why you need to have children at these drag shows.
Yeah.
So I think on that level, setting aside whether we, we'll get to where we land on the issue ourselves, but in terms of strategy, in terms of political strategy, I think that's a pretty smart move, especially if it's like, okay, now we're saying we should end them. Now, Democrats, please explain to us why kids need to be shoving dollar bills into this dude's leather suit.
I would say logically that should make sense, but I think per usual, there's a miscalculation and misunderstanding on the Republican right wing of things that they're like, ooh, we'll make the Democrats the bad guys because, what this will put them in a bad spotlight. And I think Democrats would be like, what's the problem? Of course kids should be at drag shows. If kids want to be at drag shows and parents want to take them there, that's fine. That's no problem. I don't think that this is going to villainize the Democrats in the way that Republicans envision it because, Democrats are just going to be like, yeah, that's what we think.
I don't know. I mean, I think, look, we're going to see some polling out soon, possibly from, because we are working closely with some people that are working closely with some pollsters. We might ask them to find out the answers to certain questions, but we're going to see polling soon on where American parents, Republicans, and Democrats stand on this specific issue. We're going to see how they feel about children attending drag shows like this, children, seeing strippers and different kind of sexualized dancers and people wearing scantily, people are very scantily clad, just dancing around and doing all this, sexually provocative stuff. And I have a feeling that a majority of Republicans and a majority of Democrats, over 50%, I would guess, if shown the images, if described exactly what's going on at these events, would probably not be in favor of it. So
yeah, but they're in favor of gender therapy and young children.
Not majorities.
And young children being able to
there are plenty, but
identify their sexual identity at a young age.
But even with the Florida parental rights and education law, you saw a majority of Florida Democrats in support of that, which would ban kind of the gender ideology kind of training or classroom lessons from kids below a certain age.
That's Florida. Florida people are old, so that's a little
Florida Democrats.
Florida Democrats are kind of a class in and of themselves, I would say. And I agree that I think statistically it wouldn't necessarily be a majority of Democrats that jump on this boat, but I think as we have seen again and again and again with every extremely progressive agenda, it is a tyranny of the vocal minority. Democrats and far, far left progressives have found out they don't have to have this. They don't have to have the numbers. They don't have to have the majority of a political party backing a certain law or stance. They just have to have a loud enough minority.